In today's tabletop review, I'm going to be taking a look at a handguard made by ALG Defense. This is their M-LOK V2 rail. This particular one is in black, carries a part number of 05-318. This item is on my website for approximately $148. In the past, I've reviewed several ALG Defense components. I did review a V1 rail, so this is my first review on the V2. It ships in this white box with a decal there, and there's a decal right there, and a bright orange sticker to indicate something that I have no idea. Anyway, let's dig into this and see what's inside the box. Full-size instruction sheet. We'll take a look at that in a minute. The rail wrapped in butcher paper. And our tool. And that's basically it in the box. So getting the box out of the way, let's start with our rail. This is fairly decent packaging to protect this rail, and of course on the inside it's inside of a bubble wrap baggie. Of course I didn't expect it to be glued in place, but we're getting it out pretty easy. Okay, let's just set that down for the moment. Get all the packing material out of the way. We'll come back to the other accessories. The VMR2 rail is a smaller diameter rail, and you'll notice that what they've basically done is they've eliminated a lot of the upper rail here. A lot of rails on the market have a full Picatinny rail running across the top. This particular one does not. Saves on weight, also makes it easier for you to grasp up in this area if you've got small hands. The ALG Defense rails use a proprietary barrel nut, which it comes with. We'll talk about that. This particular one is in black. We've got, let's see, a small section up here for a front sight. And this back section right here isn't really, all this does is align the rail with your upper receiver. These tabs right here help keep the rail aligned on the upper receiver so it doesn't twist to the left or the right. We have an ALG logo here on the top left side, North Wales, Pennsylvania. There's a small amount of ribbing on this going all the way around the rail. There's no ribbing on the top. It is extremely lightweight. It weighs in at 9.3 ounces. The inner diameter is 1.46 by 1.63. So it's 1.46 wide by 1.63 in height, which should be suitable for most all lower profile gas blocks on the market. Of course, I haven't tested all of them. I have only tested a few, but I haven't found any yet that wouldn't fit underneath these rails. The outer diameter is 1.75. This particular one that we're looking at here is 13 inches. The accessory attachments are M-LOK, and it does not include any M-LOK rail attachments. So if you want to do vertical pistol grip or something else, you're going to have to buy those parts separately. It is of course free float, and it is made from 61 T6 aluminum, which is kind of standard. It is anodized in black. Let's see. As for my observations, I found pretty much all of the ALG Defense products are extremely well made. They're either well tuned or well finished, depending upon what you're looking at. This one is no different. It is very nice, nicely machined. There's no evidence of any weird machining marks. It is a very nice finish on it. I do believe that that is a attachment point for a QD, so there's one on each side, nothing up front. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to comment about. Not on the rail. The barrel nut. The barrel nut in this situation is extremely lightweight. It does come with a proprietary barrel nut tool. We'll take a look at the accessories here, and then we'll come back and take a look at the instructions. So this is the type of handguard that you can install without having a bunch of proprietary tools. ALG Defense includes this nice purple tool, which is proprietary for their barrel nut. There we go. I guess it goes in one specific way. The barrel nut isn't a black in finish. It's kind of more of a bronzish color. All of these holes on here are threaded. So once you get, you'll have to get this torqued down, and one of the things I found is when you torque this down, it may not necessarily line up correctly when you go to slide your rail on. The holes have to be lined up exactly. So what you may find is the holes, if you can see that right there, may not necessarily be lined up the first time through, so you may have to go through and tighten it up a little bit more or loosen it up to get the holes aligned. In the past, when I've installed these, it hasn't been that big of a problem to do that because this slides on, slides off. It's not extremely difficult, so could be a little bit tricky if you're not prepared to deal with that. The barrel nut, I haven't had any issues with the barrel nut. The recesses in this barrel nut are more than ample for your gas tube. The holes are well threaded. I have not run into any issues with the bolts or the holes or the channels for the gas tube. So the barrel nut's been good. The wrench, the wrench is actually very nice, and it's kind of a pity that you wouldn't probably be using this more than one time. But it's nicely made. I mean, it's machined out of lightweight aluminum. It's got the ALG Defense logo on it. It's purple. Love purple. Inside the package, the rest of the items in the package, we of course have a hex key. The hex key would be needed for these bolts. They look like grade 8 bolts. There's 2, 4, 6 of them. And there are also some shims. And we'll talk about that. Actually, I'll just go ahead and read what the instructions say about the shims so I don't get it screwed up. The instructions, 8.5 by 11 booklet, very nice. Big print, easy to read. You can easily lay this out on your workbench when you're working on it and be able to reference it for your installation real easy. Just to, let's see, what do we talk about here? The barrel nut and the shim kit, I want to talk about that. It talks about additional tools required, which I probably should mention. If you're taking off your existing barrel nut or your existing handguard, you're going to have to remove your barrel nut, so you're going to need a tool specific to removing a stock AR15 barrel nut. This will not remove it, so be prepared for that. If you're building something from scratch, then you probably don't need that tool. They recommend 12-inch length of 1-inch pipe. And you can see what I'm reading right here in the instructions. McMaster-Carr part number 1120T49. You can get a 1-inch section of pipe. You can go down to Lowe's or Home Depot, find some aluminum pipe. They might even have some scrap you can buy for cheap. And what that basically is for is to go over the end of this wrench to give you leverage. This is not really a lot to get a lot of leverage on this to torque down this barrel nut. Of course, you need a method to securely hold your upper receiver. They recommend the Geisley reaction rod, and of course, if you're not familiar with ALG defense is associated to Geisley. So you'll see mentions of Geisley. You'll hear that word mentioned from time to time. And ALG, I believe, those are the initials, something Geisley, if I remember correctly. Also, they recommend grease or anti-seize grease for your barrel nut. If you've watched any of my videos, we talk about the Aeroshell 33 MS grease being the proper grease for your AR15. You'll apply some of that to your upper receiver and then install your barrel nut. I'm not going to talk about all of this, but I wanted to talk about the shims because people have talked to me about the shims in the past. Part of the instructions here show this illustration where the barrel is inserted into the upper receiver. And before you even get to the point of installing the barrel nut, we're installing a barrel shim, and they tell you to install the black barrel shim, the .015. And these are color, they have some color on them. You can see we've got black, purple, and red at least in here. And these are the colors indicate the different thickness. So you would install the black shim. And let's see. I'm not going to read all of this, but I know I'm trying to remember a lot of the questions I had concerning the last time I installed one of these. The amount of torque that you need to apply on the barrel nut, they talk about it here. These notches on the wrench determine how much torque to put on the particular barrel nut. And then, of course, you've got to make sure that you get the proprietary barrel nut aligned for your gas tube. And I'm just going to brief over this real quick, make sure I covered all the talking points. Sorry, I'm quiet here for a second. I'm just reading over this because I know several people asked me about the different shims, and the different shims are going to be necessary depending upon the alignment of your barrel nut with the gas tube. So if the black shim is not appropriate, you can step up to a thicker shim. So by utilizing the markings on this tool to achieve the proper torque, again, those are shown right here. You've got green and black, blue and black, red and purple, green and purple. You have a pre-torque band, 2 blue shims, and then a full tensioned location right there. These instructions are actually very good. I don't want to sit here for 10 minutes and read through these instructions, but I know some people get confused about how to use this particular tool and how to use the shims. The instructions here are very good. The instructions also cover installation of M-LOK rail sections and the alignment and how M-LOK works. And that's pretty much it. So I'll give ALG Defense 2 thumbs up for very well written instructions on a decent sized paper for reference. The tools, their method for torquing down the barrel nut, their barrel nut construction, I can't really fault anything here. Very well thought out product, very well put together, very well machined. All the components you need except for, of course, that length of pipe. Now myself, I actually prefer a torque wrench to determine the proper torque on my barrel nut, but you can't really do that with this tool. This tool is just not designed to take a torque wrench. They expect you to use that 12-inch length of pipe and this, and go by these markings to get the proper torque on your barrel nut. And it's been thought through. The numerous ALG Defense rails I've installed have all went without a hitch. I have had a couple of installations where the starting black shim wasn't appropriate for the installation, and I had to go, take it off and go with a thicker shim, and then be conscious of the shim settings on this particular tool. But aside from that, a very easy install with a minimal amount of tools necessary to get this handguard installed on your upper receiver. So I'm going to go ahead and end this tabletop review of this ALG V2 rail. I am quite impressed with the quality of this product for the price point.